Hill sponsors Joshua versus Brazil on Sky Sports Box Office.
Radio Raheem here with Eddie Hearn at the O2 Arena. Another successful.
Is that really your name?
Of course it is.
You were christened Radio.
Christened.
Radio.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
See, it's a name.
I love it, but it just
the next generation
sounds like
will be
a stage
so many
name.
radios.
Sounds like a stage name.
I'm often on stage. I was christened on the stage. That's what happened.
It's like I was just checking that my wife's not right. It's like if you ever went to a strip club, which obviously I've never frequented one,
right.
and a girl comes and you ask a girl's name, she's Emerald.
Right.
It's unlikely that she is Emerald.
But what if she's the jewel of the strip club?
All right, Radio.
Right.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I know you're tired.
Tonight was another successful night. It didn't seem that it would be in doubt on the build-up. But when the night progressed, it was a tougher fight than most people expected.
Yeah.
Even William Hill had it 7-1 for a 60-second knockout, and we saw 7 rounds. While you sat ringside, were you pleased with what you saw?
I was. I mean, you know, the danger going into this fight was that I knew, one, Anthony had a terrible camp. You know, he was ill in the camp, and we nearly pulled the fight, actually. But I also knew how tired he was, and even backstage, and even in the ring, you know, it's like, for the Martin fight, I knew exactly where he was at. He was so sharp, and for this fight, he was just a little bit flat. You know, I think he just seemed to really not really be firing all cylinders. So it was a grafting performance, and you know, he had to really dig deep, and fair play to Brazil. You know, I think he put up a great performance, and I knew Dominic would be much better and much hungrier than other people did. When AJ fights people, people just assume it's going to be a 2-round job. As you step up the levels, as you meet people that are hungrier and hungrier, they're not going to go over. And that guy took shots that other heavyweights would just like. If he took 20 times more punishment than Charles Martin, and he still wanted to get up, but he couldn't. So you have to respect Dominic Brazil, and listen, I said to him after the fight, man, you 100% be back. You know, your stock's gone through the roof tonight.
You know, it appeared to me that Dominic Brazil landed cleaner shots, even than Dylan White did on Anthony Joshua. But unlike Dylan White's fight, Anthony wasn't stumbled. He absorbed them well. Is that something that a fighter just gains with experience? And how much is it important for him to start taking breaks? He's been so busy.
Yeah,
you know,
the break's really important now. You know, he had 2 weeks off after the Charles Martin fight, but he didn't have 2 weeks off because all he was doing was doing sponsorship deals and appearances and broadcast appearances. So now he'll have a real nice rest. He was composed tonight. He worked really well off the jab. You know, and I think he showed a lot of maturity. He realised that after 2 or 3 rounds, he needed to break this guy down, and he did it emphatically.
He's talking about November. I'm assuming that that's the date you guys are looking at. What kind of challenge is available in November? Given your druthers, what's the first name that comes to mind?
Josie Parker's the mandatory, and I like that fight. I think, you know, it's a good test. I think people can get excited about that. You know, we were looking at Fury. Obviously, he's injured now, and ultimately, you know, I saw the drug story on the Mirror. I don't know too much about that, but I have to see what transpires there. But I think that you know, Parker might be the guy who's next. I think it's a good fight. I always said, you know, people said when Josh took the Charles Martin fight, do you think it's too early for him to change for the world title? Not because he can't beat Martin, but because he'll be forced into fights where, you know, they might come before his time. And I said he's going to have to learn on the job, and that's what he did tonight. You know, there's no value for him going and knocking Brazil out in 1 round. He would have liked to, but he wasn't able to. The good thing is he got 6 rounds in the bank, and that's massive for his career. And I think massive for people who got to see another side of his boxing ability, who come and might moan, well, it only ever goes a round. Do you know what I mean? Right. I'm glad, as a promoter, that people got 6 rounds of Anthony Joshua. So, yeah, it was a good night.
You know, ankles are unpredictable, and often they re-injure. If Fury's not able to go in October, and Klitschko's available, is that a fight you'd consider? And of course, the question is, do you feel Joshua's ready?
It's a good question. Is he ready for Klitschko? Styles make fights. I feel like he beats Fury all day long because of the style. Klitschko, I think it's a tougher fight, style-wise. But I don't think he can handle his speed. And, you know, is that a fight for November? Is it a fight for Wembley next summer? All of this is ahead for Anthony Joshua. He's 26 years of age. You know, you've got the pressure from the fans to make those kind of fights, but you've also got to do the right thing. But we can't make fights that are just rubbish because no one will want to watch them. So it's just getting the balance right and making sure we can progress him in the right way. Do we want to be gambling in unification fights at 26 years old? Well, if I'm a fan, I'll say, yeah, of course I do. But if I'm a promoter and I'm guiding his career, maybe, if it's the right fight and it's the right situation. But if not, Parker, Stavern, you know, all these guys, perfect.
You've got another fighter in your stable that's eager to step up. There's been much talk about Triple G and Chris Eubank Jr. But tonight it was the first time, at least I'd heard, that there may be any discord in the negotiations. Is there any holdup or hindrance to this fight being made outside of the promoter and the fighters?
No, I've done the deal. You know, Chris Eubank and myself will have a meeting with the broadcaster, and you know, he will chew their ear off on Monday, and I don't think, you know, we'll last long in there, but the situation is the contract's ready to sign.
Is it a matter of where the fight will be shown?
No. It's with Sky and it's on pay-per-view and it's here in London. It's just a case of, you know, they'll want to try and tweak the splits a little bit and, you know, standard stuff. But ultimately, in the next 48 hours, they're going to have to make a decision. And we'll find out if they want the fight or not.
Well, in America, we call it A-side, B-side. It's a little annoying, but that's how people refer to it.
It's not even that.
You can see that...
It's not even that because Golovkin's ready for the fight. So we're the beast. The splits, it's more of a broadcast money thing. So, but we'll see.
And lastly, a guy who's not in your stable but has just landed a huge fight, Liam Smith.
Yeah, great. Right?
Some people have already compared the Eubank challenge to Triple G of the Liam challenge to Canelo. How do you see that fight going? And does Smith really have a chance?
Well, I've seen how badly it's gone down in America. I don't think it's that bad a fight because I think Liam is a talent. I think he's a huge underdog against Canelo, but I guess it's because of his profile that people in America are poo-pooing the fight. But I think no one's going to be happy with it because everyone wants him to fight Golovkin. But Liam Smith is better than the Americans think. But he's still a huge underdog in the fight. I hope he wins though. You know, I'm very close with Smith. And Liam's a very good fighter and a lovely bloke. So.
And lastly, when it comes to Triple G and Canelo, you've given your opinion about a promoter setting a fight over a year ahead. If it were you making this fight, what do you think you could do to put this fight in the fans' televisions, in their living rooms when they want it, which would probably be at the latest in the next 6 months, but certainly over a year? Seems a bit ridiculous.
Takes two fighters, two teams to make a fight. Canelo don't want to fight Golovkin. He can't. It's there. It's a massive fight. Why wait a year and a half? Rubbish.
Radio Raheem with Eddie Hearn. Thank you for having me once again over here at the O2 Arena. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, sir.
William Hill sponsors Joshua versus Brazil on Sky Sports Box Office.